Hey, what's going on? This is Jamie Supertramp, and this is another travel vlog. I'm about to blast off to Berlin in a couple hours. I'm going to be getting on a bus for 14 hours. But why don't I fly? Oh, because you can't fly with this. Good old Massachusetts maple syrup. I wish it was some Vermont maple syrup, but this is a special gift to some friends in Berlin who are basically like family at this point. And you can't fly with that. Want to see what else is in the bag? I'm packing really light. Hang on. You gotta have Monopoly Deal, right? That brings people together and ruins friendships all in the same sitting. Have the massive backup battery. And I have these melatonin vitamins that I've never tried them out before, but maybe it'll help me sleep on this bus trip. So we'll find out. And I'm trying to decide whether I should bring this. I've been envious of people who have music, so I went and bought this Chinese Bluetooth speaker. All right, you tell me if this is a vibe killer. All right, you turn it on.
The Bluetooth device is ready. The Bluetooth device is connected successfully.
Is that too jarring to have a good time? Let's say you're having a dinner party, right? And you're like, ooh, let's put on some cool tunes. And then it's just the Bluetooth. Well, you heard it. You don't need me to imitate it. So it's embarrassing and it's so loud. I'm worried it is gonna bother my roommate. But whatever. And I have used it, by the way. I've gotten good use out of that speaker. I'm just blasting. I've been getting kind of into AC/DC lately. I know it's a little late, but yeah, that's just fun stuff to listen to while I'm kicking the ball around. Oh, by the way, last week I was talking about how I forgot how to do the rainbow with the soccer ball. I can do it again, and I'm gonna insert some footage into this video because that's my new thing. In the last video, I made a slideshow where I just talk like on the podcast, but then add in clips and images, and that's it's easy enough to do where it's fun for me to produce them. So more of those are to come. So I'm really excited to go to Berlin. I'm gonna go ice skating. My friend, he adopted this dog in Sri Lanka. And it's a really cute dog, and I cannot wait to meet the dog because that's something I miss about back at home. I don't have my own dog, but I have access to dogs. Rufus. Oh, Rufus. But anyway, I'm just so pumped to hang out with the dog, ice skate, maybe ride bikes, maybe ride a scooter, to be determined. But I get to play soccer, and I get to hit up some of my old favorite places to get Duna, which is their, flatbread, beautiful creations. I'll probably insert some photos and pics and videos next time around. And I just get to see some old places because I've spent a total of at least 3 months in Berlin. So I know it and I love it, and I've got some really close friends there. I'm just so excited to go to Berlin, and it's totally worth over 24 hours of being on a bus. Who knows, maybe I'll even do some homework on the bus. But you like to do something when it's your go-to way of procrastination. And I like making these videos, and I like doing coding, programming, whatever you want to call it. I like doing it because I find myself doing it to procrastinate the basic German language classes I have. For example, there are these prepositions. Well, I won't get too deep into it, but there are grammatical exceptions you just got to learn. There's over 100 of them, and a certain verb goes with a certain preposition. And I'm like, hey, you could totally quiz yourself on this, because me and my goddaughter were working on this app where it's similar to MadGab. It gives you these strings of words, and if you say them really quickly, it means something else. So I made one of those with her this summer where It just asks you the question, and then you put in the answer, and then if it's wrong, it's like, wrong. Do you want a hint? Do you want to pass, or do you want to keep going? So I was able to repurpose that code, except I had to like manually write in all of the German questions and answers, but it was pretty fun to put together. So it's when I do coding, it's exhausting. I'm doing nothing but, and I have total tunnel vision, but at the end of the day, I'm usually pretty pleased with what I come up with. So it feels so good to be getting to the point where I can go from idea to, they call it the MVP, the minimum viable product, where you at least can show another human being what the heck you were thinking. And it just felt so good yesterday to go from concept to MVP over the course of one day. And another thing I learned this week is, well, I've sort of known about it, but I got to learn a little bit more about GitHub. Git. That's where basically people who write their code, they post it publicly so that anyone else can look at it. But what makes it so cool is you can edit someone else's code, but you're not editing the original. You branch off into a parallel universe. So picture Rick and Morty with the portal gun. Just, they have infinite timelines. Same deal. You can do infinite branches with GitHub. And like sometimes it's really easy to think of code as this like crazy thing. It's just text. You could write it in Notepad or just one of those basic programs. So when you're looking at people's code, it's just a bunch of text formatted in a certain way. So it's really easy to copy and paste and edit and all that stuff. So I've actually posted some of my things to GitHub. But the one thing that is disappointing about GitHub, it's amazing for collaboration. And you have infinite timelines, so you can modify something, test it out, see if you like it, and then you can reintegrate it. It's called a pull request, I'm pretty sure. And then you can reintegrate that with the main timeline. So I think GitHub has a lot of potential, not only for code, but for just group projects. Because I don't know if you've ever been in a group projects where you're using Google Docs and you're typing one paragraph, you're like, I'll work on the body, you work on the conclusion, and the text is moving around the screen because multiple people are working on it. So I think GitHub is cool because you can take a snapshot of how it looked and then you can play with it, modify it, and then reintegrate it later. But the one thing GitHub doesn't offer is a place to test out your code in the browser. You can download it and then do it in your terminal, but that feels pretty advanced and it's hard to just explain to someone who doesn't already know what it is they're doing. So there's this website out there. It's called Replit, REPL.IT. Must be hosted in Italy. But this website is so great because you paste in the code, or you can type it right there and you just press enter, and then on the side of the screen it executes it for you. And I just think that is so cool because it really demystifies the whole process. So some stuff that I've written on Replit, I've shared to GitHub. So, I mean, it's a humble beginning, absolutely, but I still feel really good to have a GitHub. And then if anyone else has code that they're working on, I can fork it, which basically means I make my own copy that I can play with. And something that GitHub is doing that's really amazing for humanity is all the code on there, for the most part, is open sourced, which means you're free to take it and manipulate it and make it your own. But once you use open source data, your derivative products must also be open source. So they're kind of making the default setting for people who are programming to do it the open source way, which I think is a very long-sighted way that is very future friendly, and it's going to minimize the legal struggles over intellectual property rights. So more effort will be focused on developing for the future as opposed to litigating who owns what, because some of the patents for algorithms are ridiculously vague. I was reading, because I'm reading about YouTube and how to break past the the filter bubble and things like that. And YouTube isn't the problem really, Facebook is, but we all go there, so what am I going to do? Start my own Facebook? But I do have a website, so you can find, where to find me, allthingsborderless.com. Yeah, and oh my god, shameless plug. That's my website, everybody. Yeah, so I learned about this patent by Google, or for YouTube, and they're like, we have a patent for an algorithm that will favor videos based on how long people watch them for. Like, is that something so innovative that you can exclude other people from doing? It seems pretty normal. Don't you have to prove your patents are novel? But that's a whole nother rabbit hole that my brain's down that rabbit hole almost every day, but we're not going to go there now. This is just a quick little update before I blast off to Berlin. And see this empty shopping bag? Well, this empty bag. Hopefully it will be full with treasure on the way back, because things in Constance are a little bit expensive. Much more than back at home. Like, food is cheap because they have Aldi in similar places. And by the way, we're going to go to some grocery stores. I'm going to take the camera in there and you're going to see how it is. It's amazing. There's this machine that slices your bread. You just put in a full loaf and it just, it's mesmerizing. And then there's other parts of the bakery where you just push a button and your desired bread or pastry just comes out. And then there are a lot of things I want to show you, but something that I really am moved by being here is so many times have people just let me cut in front of them at the store because I have one loaf of bread and they have a huge cart full of supplies that they're going to take back to Switzerland where the food costs 2 or 3 times as much. But it's just really nice of them to let me pass, and that's something that I really like things like that because it doesn't take that much effort for the person to let you go first, but so it's small for them and huge for me. So I'm always really thankful for when people do that. So I like those little acts of humanity. Oh man, humanity went wrong the other day for me. So I get into this elevator. It's kind of full already. There's like 4 people in a pretty small elevator. So I'm trying to take up minimal personal space and I lean it against the wall and I pushed 3 buttons. We were on the 4th floor trying to go to the 7th and it went to the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And I don't know how this happened, but it like interrupted the queue. And all I know is everyone in the elevator was trying to go up and we ended up going down to the very bottom before going up, and it was just so excruciating. And I'm like, es tut mir so leid, and they're like, oh, it's okay. But when we finally did get to the 7th floor, there was someone waiting for one of the people, and it looks like a pair of lovers meeting for the first time after someone gets off a plane. They just threw their arms around each other and like, oh, it's been so long. Or that's what they said in German. By the way, German learning is going really great. Not only am I building apps to make it better, but I have ideas to build more apps, because the thing we're doing with the Twitter class, using Python code to use Twitter's API, basically, that's just a ton of data that they make available. So the API, picture that. You know how R2-D2 has that little like interface where he, like twists stuff. He connects with computers through that and he works around. Picture that as the API between your computer and Twitter and all their data, right? So the Death Star, that's Twitter. And then your R2-D2, or your computer's R2-D2, and that little arm that connects the two, that's the API. That's where the data flows between the two. And now that I've made a developer account with Twitter and I get to play with their data, now I'm just looking at the world in another way, or more, I'm looking at the web in a different way, because there's this great website called Verbix that it just conjugates the German verbs, which is really great for learning grammar correctly the first time. I cannot stress that enough. I just wish I could, if I was to learn German again, I would have just learned right. I would have learned it right the first time. But they have an API. And then, of course, Google Translate has an API. There are tons of browser add-ons that integrate with Google Translate. But Verbix doesn't translate. It just conjugates the verbs. So I've got these ideas floating around that I might be able to do for my capstone project. I might have mentioned that I added the German major. So I'm a double major student now. So that can be my capstone project, is building some type of software for German learning. And I love that type of thing. And I love, do-it-yourself learning. And so I'll just share my two newest strategies for learning German. Because, Okay, so one of the things I like to do is to listen to the Tagesschau. Tagesschau, that's like the news every day, and there's two variants. There's the 100-second long one, where they just give you an 100-second overview of the news. There's a 15-minute one that they release in the evening, and if there's time for that, that's good too. Then there's another one by Deutsche Welle, so just type DW somewhere in wherever you get your podcasts, or even on YouTube, and they just put out so much good content. And they do this news thing for German learners where they just read the news but pretty slowly. And that is my new favorite way to learn German, because I can just put in a headphone while I'm on the bike and I understand a lot of what's going on. So I'm finally hitting that tipping point where I can be an informed citizen and learn German at the same time. So that's something I'm totally psyched about. And I'll share links in the bottom or in the show notes wherever you're consuming this. And then another thing I'm really becoming a fan of is German music, which I've been listening to German music for a while. Casey Rebel is my favorite German rapper. His stuff is a little bit less glamorous than what you're used to in rap. But then there's KIZ, or in German KIZ. They're great, and there are some others. But I listen to their music all the time, but some of the words I just don't know. So if you're going to be listening to this German music, it is a really good idea to just go through the lyrics. I prefer to do it on the iPhone browser, because once you add the German keyboard to your phone, every time you highlight text or just one word, you can you can define it, and it will define it from German to English. So it's a really rapid way to get the German to English translation. So read through the lyrics, write down the words you don't know, look them up really quickly, and then you can go through the song again, listen to it, and read along. And then from that point on, every time you listen, it will reinforce the vocab that you're trying to learn. So I'm about to be on a bus for 14 hours, so I'm really looking forward to doing that and slowly working my way through all of the songs that I listen to regularly. Oh, but there's one more thing about the German podcasts here. I've been enjoying them for years, right? And they're publicly funded, but in a very roundabout way, because it's not from tax money. Every person who lives in Germany has to pay, it's 17 euros a month for their public media, right? And I'm thinking, damn, is there a way to make people hate public media more than making them pay for it? Like, there are so many things baked into the tax system, not just of Germany, but anywhere, like war. That's not a separate fee that you can complain about. It's all integrated. It's all part of the same thing you pay. So I think it's wild that they make it into a separate fee. 17 a month. That's literally more than it costs for a cell phone here. So cell phone service is really cheap here. But yeah, I'm bitter that I'm gonna have to pay for it, because I've read into it on the forums, and there's no way around this thing. They get it from you one way or another. They'll freeze your assets. Yeah, so I'm gonna be finally paying for this German media that I've been consuming for over a year now. So I'm paying for it. You should enjoy it. Just check out Deutsche Welle, So just type DW in the podcast field, or just type in Tagesschau. Yeah, so check out some of those good podcasts from Deutsche Welle or DW, or look up the Tagesschau app, or just say Tagesschau in 100 seconds, or the Daily Show in 100 seconds. You'll find it. And apparently I'm paying for that now, so, enjoy it. You're welcome. All right, I'm getting really excited to get out of here. When I come back, I'm gonna have this empty bag here is gonna be filled with clothes, because having only 5 t-shirts, it seems kind of cute on the way here, but it's getting old. I need more clothes, and I'm not gonna buy it retail. So I'm gonna do some thrift shopping this week, come back with a bunch of clothes, have a full belly full of awesome Berliner Döner and other street food. And I'm going to come back with a brain full of good memories. All right, I'm Jamie Superchamp. Thanks for checking out this Germany travel update vlog, and I'll bring you some more content soon.